So this is just, I'll also give you an example now of how do you write before I think we discussed the processes in terms of how do you write your problem statement, the process of research, where we highlighted that before you actually proceed to develop a full research proposal, you need usually to start by writing what we call a concept note. A concept note is just a summary of what you tend to it's a summary of your research. It's where you're summarizing what you tend to do. So the structure of a concept note, usually we expect you to put your name, your student number, then you tell us you put the title of what you want to write, then you give us write as a problem statement, then you put the research question, your main objective, specific objectives, and your methods. So this is what we expect. That's what it should be, one page. You should actually write a one pager where you're summarizing remember, as I highlighted in these initial stages, where we said, before you proceed to write a full research protocol, you need to make sure whatever you want to write about is acceptable, is standard, is an area which is researchable. So you don't have to rush actually to write a full proposal. But before that, you need to write a concept note, which kind of really gives us a summary of what you tend to do. If it makes sense, then you can proceed to the next stage. So using that same example, I think we've used this same example before, or for the coronavirus among returning residents in Zimbabwe quarantine centers. So I chose this topic, which is a bit fancy, which is not descriptive. Like I think from the other previous lectures, we had two topics, but I chose this one. A spike of COVID-19 cases among returning residents in Zimbabwe quarantine centers. What are the possible causes? Then this was our problem statement. I hope you remember the structure of a problem statement. Please go back to the lecture on the problem statement, on how to write a problem. What's a problem statement? Where you start briefly, you give the brief background. In this case, our brief background. That is, Zimbabwe first reported its first case of COVID-19 on the 20th of March 2020. Since then, the cases have been gradually increasing, and by the 26th of May, the country has only 56 cases. Of the 56 cases, by the 25th of May, 31 were imported, while the remaining were local transmission. So that's the background. Then we go to our problem statement, where we're now giving statistics in terms of what is the problem. So from preliminary analysis of daily situational reports between 26 May 2020 and 12th of June 2020, over a 2-week period, there was a huge surge of cases to 343. The cases increased by 287, which is 513%. And of the 287 cases, more than 95% were detected from quarantine center, while the remainder were either local transmission or contacts of known causes. The majority of the cases, more than 95%, were from South Africa, while other countries, Mozambique, Botswana, and a few others, corroborate the remainder. So this is our problem, which we have quantified in terms of the numbers. We put the statistics, we put the periods. Then there's been a debate on whether the returning residents are getting infection in quarantine centers or bringing the infection from the country of origin. That's our, we now want to go to our question. Then if the situation in quarantine center is not addressed urgently, it has the potential of initiating massive and uncontrollable community transmission in the country. So that's the consequence now of this. We are describing our problem, whether the problem is happening in quarantine, whether these people are getting infected in quarantine centers or they are coming with the infection. And we're also putting the consequences now. But if this is not controlled, what will happen? Then the last statement is our aim. We therefore plan to conduct a study to assess factors that might be contributing to returnees getting infected with COVID-19 in quarantine centers. So our research question, what are the factors that might be contributing to returnees getting infected in quarantine centers in Zimbabwe? between March 2020 and June 2020. So we have put our research question. Then our main objective is to assess the factors that might be contributing to returnees getting infected with COVID-19 in quarantine centers in Zimbabwe between March 2020 and June 2020. Then from there, we have our specific objectives, which are four. The first one, to determine demographic factors. The second one, to assess environmental factors. The third one, to assess social factors. And the fifth one, to establish economic factors that might be contributing to returnees getting infected with COVID-19 in quarantine centers in Zimbabwe between March 2020 and June 2020. So if you look at our, one of the things I wanted to stress, which is very important, our last statement, which is our aim statement, is the same when we are talking of to plan to conduct to assess factors that might be contributing. The same factors that might be contributing. Then this, if you look, the main, our last statement in our problem statement, and just to repeat again, is to assess factors. Then if you go to research question, factors that might be contributing. Then if you go to our main objective, factors. So there should be consistency in this as you move from your aim to your research question and to your main objectives. Whereas don't then have a description. Maybe here you are planning to assess reasons, whatever. What you're assessing here, what you say here, what you say here, they're not the same. You should have consistency within these three. Then your objectives, you are now expanding your factors, whatever you'll be try to look into and put the categories of those things. So in this case, with demographic, environmental, social, and what's economic. As I always highlighted, usually we don't advise you to write a study without looking into demographic. Demographic, that's the person, the age, sex, level of education, because there's no way you can really study whatever you're studying without really looking into demographic characteristics. So usually the demographic objective, you need to always have it. Then from there, you have a brief paragraph summarizing your methods and this is how do you intend to do this. So in this case, we this is a descriptive cross-sectional, quantitative study will be conducted. Then this is the study design. Then the study will be conducted in quarantine centers located in every province of the country. That's the study setting. Then the study participants will be returning residents that are being quarantined to prevent spread of COVID-19. Those are our study participants. Then data will be collected using an interview administered questionnaire. So the administered interview questionnaire is a quantitative study. Quantitative, you use what? You use a questionnaire. Then the questionnaire will collect data. What this questionnaire will collect, just summarizing, we collect demographic, environmental, social, and economic factors. Remember, what this questionnaire will collect is related to our objectives. We have demographic, environmental, social, and economic. So what the questionnaire will collect should be similar to what? To your objectives. Then the data will be captured in Excel, that's our database, and analyzed and presented using descriptive statistics. So we're going to count which are the frequencies, percentages, and proportions. Then you will draw a graph. And permission to conduct the study will be sought from the Ministry of Health and Child Care. So this is what we expect for you guys to write your concept notes. So before you proceed to write your full proposal, please, you need to start by writing a concept note. And this is as an example of a concept note, which we have just shown you. So please refer to it when you are preparing your own concept note so that you understand the structure. And it has to be 1 page. It has to be what? 1 page, and it has to be written following this example. But please don't then copy. I know some of you you are very funny. You really want to copy everything, and you just change a few things. Make sure you're innovative. You have your own, you have your own, you think alone, then as you think alone, you develop your own concept note and your own ideas. But as you said, we expect you to do your research based on actual things, where either your workplace, your attachment, or within the communities where you work, you get real problems, you get real statistics, you get real numbers. Because if you get real studies and real problems, it means your study will contribute actually in addressing that problem, and you will have really contributed much to solving whatever that problem within your community. So please just follow these guidelines, but don't copy them. Don't copy this as it is. Be innovative and use whatever information you have learned to come up with a good concept note for something which is researchable and something which is practical.